Hello and welcome, everybody. My name is Daniela Schwartzman. I'm the Marketing Relationship Manager here at BayWa RE Solar Systems in the US, and I'm super excited about our webinar today, and I'd like to welcome you all. Sell more with the SPAN panel cost savings features. So I'm super excited. Before we start, let me just do a little bit of housekeeping. Familiarize yourself, please, with the Zoom features. You can find a Q&A button on the bottom of the page. Please, all your questions and comments, just post it in the Q&A. We will monitor that and ask Mike all the questions that come in. So please use that. And yeah, before we start, let me just share a couple of information about BayWa. If you could just move the slide. Perfect. So at BayWa RE, your success is our priority. What that means is we love working with you, enhancing your business operations and driving your success. And the way this is done, you can plan effectively with accurate forecasting together with us, which will help you to service your homeowners more efficiently. Our dedicated account managers are always available to answer any questions you may have and provide guidance. Our user-friendly web store is available for up-to-date pricing and immediate ordering, so that simplifies the entire purchasing process. Also for commercial projects, our commercial service desk offers expert planning and precise product and inventory forecasting. So they're there for you and at your disposal for direct assistance from ordering, commercial design planning, and more. You can also benefit from consistent pricing across all US warehouses, which helps eliminate unexpected fees. We have strategically located warehouses, and you can easily access any products you need from wherever you are in the country. Enjoy the convenience of direct job site delivery, bringing the product straight to your job or construction sites without the need of a middle warehouse. All these benefits are available to you. If you are a US-based installer that is not yet working with us, please explore the links I'm going to put in the chat, how you can benefit from working with us and how we can support your business. So without further ado, I am very pleased to introduce you Mike DiRico. He is the Director of Sales and Distribution East for SPAN, and he's going to share all these wonderful benefits and features of SPAN. Thank you, Mike, for being here. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Danielle. I really appreciate that. And let me also share my sentiments to everyone that's joining today. We really appreciate you taking a little bit of time out of your day and what we imagine is probably a busy season, trying to close out some sales before the holidays. So that you're taking a little bit of time out of your day to spend it with us. We appreciate that. We recognize that that's a big deal for everybody out there. So thank you for doing that. And also thank you to BayWa, right? You guys are great partners. It's fantastic to have a distribution partner that has all of those amazing features that you talked about that help out your customer base, and not the least of which is a great stocking position in the SPAN product. So at any one of the distribution warehouses, you can find SPAN on the ground and ready for pickup and delivery. So we're really appreciative of the partnership that we have with you, and that we can service all of your customers that way, and everybody that's on the webinar today, and make sure they get the products that they need. So I suspect that pretty much everybody here would have a little bit of knowledge about what SPAN is. I don't know that anybody came onto the webinar today not knowing what SPAN is at all. But let me go ahead and share my screen here, and we'll jump into a bit of the presentation that we have today. And we're going to start out right out the gate with a question, and just get a little bit of an idea of how familiar everybody might be with SPAN. So with that, Danielle, I think you've got the poll question ready to go, right?
Yeah, let's do it. So everybody, please, this is where you can have a say. We would like to know how many SPAN panels have you installed. So there are a couple of categories you can choose from. 0, I'm here to learn more so I can install SPAN in the future. I have installed 1 to 3. I install when I get a request from a homeowner. 4 to 9, I'm actively pitching SPAN on most sales leads. Or 10 and more, SPAN as part of my business model when I recommend an integrated ESS to a homeowner? Okay, we see answers coming in. So, Meg, you see, there are a lot of people here that want to learn more about SPAN. That's the main motivation so far. We still have more people that can participate, but we also have some people here who made it part of the business model. That's going to be interesting as well to see what questions are coming from end consumers and how we can serve those installers as well. So pretty big mix of answers here.
Agreed. Yeah, I think that's fantastic. So it looks like the audience here today has a variety of experiences with the product so far, which is great. We as a fairly new entrant to the world, unlike the 100-year-old standard gray box panel, we expect that there's going to be some folks who may not have a whole lot of familiarity with it. But what I really love to see is that some of the folks that are on the call today have been early adopters, I'll call it, with the product, and have integrated into their business, which is fantastic. And it just goes to show the opportunity, I think, that's out there. For those of you on the phone who may have answered the first or the second level of, you haven't done one yet, but you'd like to, or that you just have a little bit of limited experience with it, that's fantastic, because what we'd like to do is get you familiar enough that you're just like those folks who've integrated into their business and get to that point. So it's a goal to strive for, which is going to be great.
Awesome.
So I'll go back and make sure that we're still sharing. Everybody can see that, right? We're all good there?
You're good.
All right. So I just wanted to start out then, and particularly since a few folks on the call are just coming into SPAN and don't have that much familiarity with the product, just wanted to give a high-level overview of who we are. So SPAN is a smart electric load center panel. It is designed to be a replacement for the traditional 100-year-old gray box that has all your circuit breakers in it. The benefit of it is ultimately SPAN is a one-to-one replacement. So when you have projects, which I imagine are frequent, we see this all the time in solar and storage, when you're adding solar or you're adding solar and storage, or solar storage and EVSE equipment to a home in a retrofit situation. Frequently, we find that what you're running into is that in addition to all that work, because you're doing electrical work, the panel needs to get upgraded. Either it's old or it's outdated, and it's just old equipment. So, so what SPAN does is acts as a replacement for that. What differentiates SPAN from what's out there on the market today is, as a smart panel, SPAN is readying your home for the next century. So for the last 100 years, with less electrification, fossil fuels running most of your home, with not a lot of dominance of electric vehicles or solar and storage on homes, the gray box was a perfectly fine product for that era. But we're entering a new era now. The new era is electrified homes. It's solar and storage, as everybody on this call, I'm sure, knows about. It's electrified transportation with the vehicle that you drive. And it's likely an all electrified home in other ways, where your cooking or your hot water heating or your HVAC are also going electric. And in that way, SPAN is readying all of these homes to enter into this new era that where all those things exist. So that's a little bit of an overview of the company. Just a quick little one other piece that I wanted to hit on with some background is that our founder knows a whole lot about this, because he used to be at Tesla. And in fact, not only was he at Tesla, but he was heading up the Tesla energy division, where, and again, I'm sure a lot of folks here are familiar, the Powerwall 1 and the Powerwall 2, those were products that his team brought to market. So we have a distinct background in understanding why this product, what features and benefits this product brings to both you as a solar and storage installer and your downstream consumer customers, and how to make their experience with getting that solar and storage system even better. So we're going to talk about that a little bit today. In addition to that, what I wanted to make sure we covered today, so everybody's familiar with the agenda for the day. So we've got kind of 4 main topics that we're going to cover. The first thing is we're going to cover, for those of you who are familiar with SPAN, we're going to go over some new features and benefits that we have. As a smart product, one of the things that we have the benefit of being able to do is improve our product over time. And that's something that we're really dedicated to. And recently we've launched a few new features that we want to make sure everybody's aware of, mostly because we're getting very high consumer feedback, very positive, high levels of positive consumer feedback about what they are. So we'll talk a little bit about those. We also have a few pieces of data that we're getting back around customers and how they're feeling about span, and compared to how folks are feeling if they don't get span. So it's interesting. We've got some information and data we could share with you there about how it might affect your business if you are or are not offering span today. And then if all of that sounds really great and you start to think to yourself, wow, these new features and benefits are great, and I really want to incorporate this into my business because clearly it's adding value, and the customers feel it's adding value, so I want to add this into my business. We're going to close out talking about our span programs and rebate opportunities, and then we're really excited at the very end. We'll give you a little sneak preview of some products that are coming soon next year. So that's what we're prepared to talk about today. So getting into some of the new product features and benefits, we talked about how span is the control center, the smart control center for the whole home. So HVAC, heat pump, water heating, your solar and your energy are going to connect into here, all of those components. So as we've had span out in the market now, and we've had folks interacting with their span, we've seen that we've gotten feedback that we'd like this feature or that feature, and we think this could be an improvement in the product. And so we've launched a couple of new things. We're getting in here. What we've launched first, our first new exciting insight and product is our enhanced energy insights. And so what a lot of folks come to us and ask about is, hey, with span, does it save me money? Am I going to save money by going with a smart panel versus a not smart panel? And the answer previously was that folks would look at their span home app and they would see information in kilowatt hours. So interestingly enough, I don't think what we found is a lot of folks, consumers in particular, they don't talk in kilowatt hours. Their electric bill comes in dollars and cents. And so we have adjusted the way that the homeowners interact with their span panel and their span home app by giving them new insights by dollars. So if we look at this as a comparison of what they used to see and what they see now, we're seeing a new and improved view. On the left is what they used to see, kilowatt hours. Nobody talks like that. Nobody says, you know, my bill this month came and I owe for this many kilowatt hours. They say I owe $50 or $100 or $200 or whatever it might be. So we're getting into that universal language. The really exciting thing about this feature is right now it's in a beta test. So the way this feature works is the homeowners themselves are going to enter in the data about what they pay per kilowatt hour on their electric bill. So anybody can open up their electric bill and take a look and enter in that piece of data. What's really exciting about this is since this feature has gained so much popularity, we can announce now that we're going to come out with an enhancement to this feature next year, where folks are going to actually be able to just pick their utility provider and the plan that they're on, and we're going to automatically input that information for them. So this is another area where we're going to improve beyond even where we're at now.
Mike, maybe
Yeah.
you touched a little bit upon the app, and I'm wondering, is there what are the ways that installers can actually use, to demo these cost savings in their sales conversation without getting ahead of myself? But maybe is this an opportunity they could use to offer this product more efficiently?
That's a great question, Daniela. I appreciate you asking. Yes. So what you're seeing here are a couple of screens from our home app. And what's really great about our home app is anybody can download it. You can go to your Google Store or your Apple Store where you download apps. And you can download the Span home app today, even if you're not a Span user. And what we have is when you open up the home screen, what you're going to see is available on the home screen is a button that says Explore a Simulated Home. And it's a try it before you buy it. It's a way to show your customers that what life is going to be like when they have this span panel in their home, and give them a taste of what the future is going to look like. You can show them this screen and show them how they're going to be able to see exactly where their electric bill is coming from. So as you can see here in this home that we're showing, the pool pump was $15 so far on this bill, and the living room outlets, geez, that's weird. The living room outlets were the second most expensive circuit in the home. That really shouldn't be right. You'd think something like a refrigerator or a dryer might be more than that. So maybe I need to go and look at what I have plugged in my living room, and maybe I have some, I have a space heater in there, or maybe I have, one of those TVs that stays on all the time, and I need to, maybe turn that off more frequently because it's actually a vampire load and it's costing me a lot of money that I didn't realize, and I can save money. So this is one of many screens, a simulated home in the Home app. Goes through all, it's just like having the span home app, like you're going to have it when you buy a span panel. So it's probably one of our number ones. I would say it's our number one sales tool, where if you're at an in-home consult and you're including in span as part of your, we're going to provide you modules and panels and a battery, and we're going to incorporate all this, and it's going to run through the span, and let me show you what that's going to look like for you. That's exactly how that pitch can go. And it's great because the homeowners at the end of the pitch are sitting there going, oh, I get it. I understand what my life is going to be like, and how great this is going to be, and how fun this is going to be able to see all this information that I never had access to before. So that's great. I appreciate you asking that question. So we're really excited about this feature. It's available now in the app. It's available now in the beta version, where, like I mentioned, folks will, the homeowners that have this are entering in manually the utility bill costs. And we're really excited that we can announce that in the future, we're going to, in the not too distant future, we're going to be able to actually input that information almost automatically for folks. They're just going to choose their provider, and we'll put that information in for them, which is going to make it even better. So that's our first sort of exciting new feature that we have. The second one that I wanted to talk about and transition over to is one that actually, Daniela, you and I have talked about before. So it's Charge with Solar. We know that the products that you sell, that you buy from BayWa and then eventually sell to the consumers, this is not an inexpensive journey to go on. To add solar and storage to your house is it's a sizable investment, when it comes to looking at overall home improvement projects. And I am sure that the question that you all get, because we hear it from all of our installers, is the homeowners that you're installing for want to know if they're going to get a return on their investment, right? Fairly straightforward. And so one of the ways that we can ensure that they get a return on their investment is by allowing them to maximize the use of this new PV system that they're investing in. And so what we've added to our Span Drive EV charging unit, which is our companion EV SE equipment that is an accessory to the Span panel. Pardon me there for a moment. What we've added is this feature on the Span Drive EV SE of Charge with Solar. So as you can see over on the right, that's another view here of what you'd see on the screen if you were looking at your Span Home app. And you now have this third choice. We used to have Charge ASAP. We always had Charge ASAP or Charge in the schedule. So you can either choose to plug it in and it starts charging your vehicle right now, or you can plug your car in and say, I want I want the car to, the EV SE to charge from midnight to 4 a.m., let's say. The newest feature is the one in the middle that we're highlighting, which is Charge with Solar. Charge with Solar will utilize any excess PV energy and deliver it directly through the Span Drive into your vehicle. So that you're maximizing the use of that PV system that you've invested in. So here, you have all this PV up on the roof, and in a lot of markets now, particularly like California, where you've got new NEM 3, the benefit of selling that solar back to the grid isn't what it used to be. And so it'd be great if you could self-consume all that. And one of the best ways to self-consume is to put it in that giant battery on wheels that you've got in the driveway, and use it for later. So that's what we're allowing here. And what we've estimated is this is for California residents or anybody that's on a similar NEM3 type program, is the savings here can be upwards of $700 a year. So you think about the relative installation cost of an EVSE, and it effectively is paying for buying that span drive in the first year. So why not add that on and add on the benefits of having a span drive EV charger to your home? So we're excited about that one too. And then the last one that I'm going to get into here is backup overload protection. So this is the third and final of the new features that we have, in addition to all of the great benefits that we've always had with span. What backup overload protection is doing is protecting your battery investment. So as we all know, batteries have a maximum capacity of output. And if you exceed that maximum capacity of output, you're going to have either a brownout or a blackout situation, and you're going to lock out that battery. And for those of you out there who are doing a lot of battery installs, you are probably seeing, hopefully not frequently, but you from time to time are seeing service calls. This is resulting in a service call where the battery got overloaded by a circuit, and now we need to come out and do a reset on that battery. Above and beyond that, what we're seeing is in particular markets where there's the new 2023 electric code, and in particular there's a section there called Section 702, which is sort of requiring additional backup overload protection. What we're doing is now we have this feature rolled out, which is gonna help with all of those pain points that I just mentioned. So what span backup overload protection does is it automatically calculates total input and output needed for that battery. And what we're going to do is prevent that backup system from overloading. So span will maybe pause something turning on really quickly, so that way two major loads don't turn on at the same time and result in that brownout of that battery. So we're ensuring you're getting fewer callbacks for battery resets. We're ensuring that your battery is protected. We're not sure about the long-term effects of all those times that those batteries get overloaded. So we don't want that to happen. And in addition, in those markets where it matters, it meets that NEC code for automatic transfer equipment, which is important when you're getting into, if you're in an area where they either are on 2023 code or they're going to be on it in the future. This is something to really think about, because span is at current one of the only products in the market that, and particularly the only smart panel on the market that complies with that and can be that piece of equipment that you need.
Mike, is this a good point to talk about battery backup in particular? Because this is really an important part of the business for installers on this call. Is that something you could elaborate a little bit more on, why this makes sense, or a little bit later in the presentation? I don't want to jump ahead.
No, I think this is great, and I think you've got a great segue into what we're going to be getting into next. So that's some of the features that are new, that we're excited about, where we're going to be going in the future. And one of the things that you just mentioned around battery backup is Span's just out of the box enhanced capabilities with battery backup. With Span, what we talk about is you've got 40% longer backup and 100% control. So if I remember back, and I know there's a lot of folks here on the call who are fairly new to Span or haven't installed one before. This is a really important feature of the product that is going to appeal to your customers. So I'll talk about this and sort of what this means and how Span interacts with batteries. So first things first, Span has partnerships and integrations with Tesla Energy batteries, so your Powerwalls, Solar Edge, Enphase batteries, and the Franklin Whole Home batteries. So the really big players in the market, and probably batteries that I imagine everybody on this call is very familiar with and purchases frequently from BayWa. So we're really happy about the integrations that we have, and we feel like we've got a lot of the market covered. One of the biggest differentiators with span versus a traditional battery install is the elimination of the critical load span. So we have 32 circuits in span. Every one of those circuits in theory is backed up. So you're landing your battery, whatever brand you have, you're going to land that battery in span. And the homeowner is now going to have the choice of which of the circuits they would like to use during a backup situation. So you think about this compared to today's install, where you're installing a second panel, a sub panel with some essential or critical loads, depending on where you're at in the country and what you call it. What Span's going to do is going to eliminate that whole box from the wall. So as an installer, first things first, you're eliminating some mess on the wall, right? Extra equipment that you have to buy, extra time and labor, and all that you're having to do. And then not only that, but you're delivering an amazing experience to your homeowners. Because let's face it, tastes and situations change, right? I didn't mention this, but I live in the Northeast. And in the Northeast, what we face is sometimes you have a power outage because, the utility told you they're working on the pole down the street and they've got to turn it off for a little while. But sometimes you deal with an ice storm and you're going to have an extended power outage. And you're going to treat those two things very differently. If you have a hardwired essential loads panel, the only things that you can back up are those things that you chose on day one, on the day of that battery install. With span, it opens up a whole new world. You can say, well, you know what? I think this is going to be a fairly short power outage. So what we're going to do is I'm going to turn on more things. I don't really mind if my battery runs out pretty quickly. That's okay, because I know the power is only going to be out for a little while. Or if you're in that other situation like we get here in New England, where you get that ice storm, or maybe for you in other areas, it's another kind of storm, a hurricane or a fire situation or something. And you're going to need to rely on that battery for a lot longer. What you can do is, through the Span Home app, just choose some circuits, turn them off, and say, you know what, I'm only gonna back up maybe the refrigerator and a few important outlets and some things, just to make sure I can get by for a few days until the power can come back on. And I know my battery can get me through this. And this investment that I'm making in a solar PV system with a battery backup is really going to pay dividends for me, because it's now flexible for whatever my needs might be in that situation. The other benefit here is, as you can imagine then, is that longer battery life in an outage. So now, because I have full control deciding during each outage which circuits I want to have on and off, we can confidently say that you can get 40% longer battery life during that outage, because you can shut off those non-essential loads and ensure that the only thing that's backed up is the things that are really the most important, and you're not going to have draw from things that are on in a critical loads panel, like in a traditional setup that you might have today. So that's really great. You've got that flexibility, you've got that control. The last piece that I'll talk about here is time remaining. So we probably should have done a poll question about this one, but I think I know what the answer would have been. The question I would have asked would have been like, show of hands, how many folks have had a customer ask them, well, how long is my battery going to last when the power goes out? And right now you don't really have an answer for that, because the battery only knows how much state of charge it has. It doesn't know what we know, which is the power consumption of the home. And when you marry those two things together, you can actually tell the customer, you've got an hour, 2 hours, 4 hours, whatever it might be, 12 hours on your battery. And then that homeowner, again, with that flexibility and control, can just shut some things off, move them over to a different bucket, turn them off, and say, you know what, I'm really important. What's really important to me right now is extra hours. So I'm just going to move these things off of the backup, and I'm going to have a lot longer battery life, which is going to be great for me. And I'm going to be able to tell what Span's going to do is actually going to provide me a clock that's going to tell me how much battery life I have left.
Mike, before you go on, just a little reminder for everybody. And you just posed a question. Please share with us your questions in the Q&A, or your comments, or anything you'd like to share from your experience with customers, questions they ask you, anything. So that would be really valuable for this conversation.
Thank you. So continuing on a little bit here, let's talk about maybe our next poll here. So sort of knowing that, let's throw up our next poll here, and Daniela, I'll have you introduce it.
Sure. So the spend panel has which of the below advantages? You can choose one: control circuits from anywhere, sends weather data so the panel can make intelligent decisions on heating and cooling temperatures, provide flexibility and control for homeowners to change what rooms or appliances are backed up at any time when paired with an integrated ESS, A and C, or all of the above. All right, let's see. Everybody, please make your choices. Let's get some more answers here. It looks like A and C, control circuits from anywhere, and the flexibility to change what rooms or appliances can be backed up, all of the above. It looks like almost like a tie. Let's get some more answers. Just take a guess. Mike is here to tell us the answer and to explain a little bit more and elaborate more. So you can't really go wrong here. Just make a guess. Looking like A and C is speeding ahead. All right, there is no movement anymore right now, so let's see the results. What do you think, Mike? Surprising A and C, but there's also some installers that say all of the above.
So those folks who are A and C are right. We're not yet sensing weather data so we can make intelligent decisions on your heating and cooling. There's some really great products out there that do that. But what you can definitely do with SPAN today is control your circuits from anywhere through the SPAN Home app. And as we just mentioned a little bit ago in reviewing our battery backup systems, and that you can change what rooms or appliances are backed up at any time. And the benefit of that is it's on your phone through the app. So you don't even have to be home to do that. Just as you can control circuits from anywhere in the world, as long as your phone is on and connected, and you can, and it's working, you'll be able to make changes or adjustments or that flexibility with your SPAN Home app on your SPAN panel at home. So this works whether you're on vacation or on a business trip or what have you, to be able to control those circuits or adjust that flexibility on your ESS system. Awesome. So good on you for the majority of the group there. And we threw a little curveball at you with the all of the above one, because a lot of times that's the they say that's the answer to go with, right?
Something for the future, though, something to integrate with a future spin.
That's right. And I think that it's a great segue into talking a little bit about customers and being some of the customer data that I talked about. So I wanted to transition and talk about it a little bit. Because SPAN can do all of these great things, we're finding, and survey and data is showing, that customers are happier with SPAN. And it's, not us saying it, it's not me saying it. This is the voice of the customer right here that you're seeing on the screen. So we did a survey of customers in the Houston market from the same installer. The installer doesn't provide SPAN. They offer SPAN on every project, but some homeowners, decide not to go with it. And they did a survey of those customers after they have had their installation done, either an installation of a solar and ESS combination with a traditional old gray box panel, or that same situation but with a SPAN panel. And what we found is through the data that customers are on average 163% happier with when they pair SPAN with their solar and battery projects on their home than if they didn't have a SPAN. So these customers are seeing these benefits and becoming raving fans of this product. And I mentioned that specifically because I don't know if anybody's ever read that book, but that's ultimately, I imagine, what everybody's looking for out there is raving fan customers. Because you think about the propensity of a customer who is 163% happy, which is a funny number, but 163% happier than another customer. Which one of those customers is more likely to offer you a referral to their neighbor or their friend or a relative or family member? It's certainly the one that's happier, right? They're gonna, it's not to say that the folks that have the old traditional panel are necessarily unhappy, but are they so enamored that they're going to go out and give you a referral? The probability is certainly not as much as if they're really overly delighted with their experience, which is what we're seeing with folks who have included span in these projects. And we're hearing that also from that installation partner. So the significant amount of referral increase happened in, even over just a short sample size. So what you're seeing here is, maybe one data point, which is going to show you that incorporating span into your business is going to be a lever of growth for you going forward. So, it's a competitive world out there. And if you're the one in the market, in your market, who's offering span on every job and a majority of customers are taking it, that means that your customers are likely to be happier than maybe your competitors' customers. And if they're happier, they're going to be the ones who are giving you referrals. This is going to help you with that growth engine of your business. Because again, let's face it, marketing, I don't have to tell Daniela, I'm sure, marketing's not inexpensive. And I know all of you are aware of that, right? In your businesses. And so if we can increase referrals, that's one of the greatest ways to get to increase close rate. A referral customer is bound to close higher than an inbound lead, and or even an outbound found lead from marketing. And it's less expensive, right? Getting a referral is effectively free. The best way to get a referral is to delight that first customer. That's all you have to do. And if you're doing that in your day-to-day business, including span in these projects is going to help you get there. And it's going to help you maybe achieve the growth numbers that you're looking for next year or beyond.
Mike, a couple of questions here. So you've been talking a little bit about marketing. Maybe you can flesh it out a little bit more. What are some of the best installers doing today from a span and battery marketing perspective? Is there anything else you'd like to add?
I think that's a great insight. These, in particular, businesses that are having the best luck and the best results with span, we're starting to see consistent approaches with how they're incorporating span into their sales pitch. What they're doing is, there's two paths you can go down. Path A is span as a part of every proposal, and as you're throughout the sales pitch, you're including the idea that span is going to be part of this whole ecosystem of products that you're going to offer this customer. That it's one of the many things that they can choose from. That's option A. Option B is you focus on the core product that you have today, which is your PV and your battery backup, and then spans like the thing that you talk about at the very end. And oh yeah, I can also give you this thing too. And the customers that are having the really great luck are the customers in that first bucket who are talking about it throughout, right? They're not just waiting until the end and dropping on the customer that, hey, there's another accessory that I'm going to include herein. And spans in addition, a cost addition to a product. We don't hide behind that, and there's a lot of benefits that you get out of it. But if you think about a major purchase that you've had that maybe anybody on the call here has made, you think about maybe like a car or something, right? If you were making that purchase and you were going through and they were talking about all the features and benefits of the car, and then you sit down to talk about the very last, you're about to sign the contract, and then right there they drop on you that there's another couple $1,000 if you want to get the leather seats. Like, well, why didn't we talk about that? You weren't really talking about that in my budget before. Why are we on it now? Versus if you're talking about that feature throughout, and it's like, oh, you're going to be so comfortable in these leather seats and all that. It's the same way with span. You use that home app like we talked about before, and we're gonna give you these modules and these panels, and we're gonna land that in your span. And then the span is going to be the center between that and speaking to your battery, and they're both going to work in conjunction together. And it's just natural that, of course, span is part of this project. Why wouldn't I do that? And that's those are the customers that are having the most success, are the ones that are speaking about it in that way and putting it into the presentation.
Yeah, and even a more, more practical example, you talked about leather seats, but like from an end consumer perspective, right? Say I want to buy an EV, and I talk about EV, I've made the decision and all of these things, and I'm ready to buy it, and then I'll notice, oh, I can't install a level 2 charger because my electrical panel, my traditional panel, is not equipped to do that. So in that sense, like flipping it around, Span actually is an enabler to go down on this electrification route, which I think is really eye-opening. Um, the other question I had about this slide, 163% happier. What were some of the things that these customers mentioned they were happiest with? Why are they happier when they have Span? What do they appreciate about Span?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked. So what we're seeing out of the customers is they are first and foremost, they are able to control and decide about all their circuits. So that's one of the things that one of the top answers was, this was great because I was able to back up my in-laws were coming over, and I backed up my guest room. And it made sure that they had power. We had an outage while they were over, and I didn't have to hear it from my in-laws that the power was out and they didn't have electricity in their room. So it's things like that. There was some various different answers there. And the other one was simply just the other big one was, what data can I see? Right? It was just this idea of, previously I had no idea about what was going on in my home. And I didn't even know that this was an option for me, that I could see where my electricity usage was, and how much time I had left on my battery, and what my solar was producing in real time, and all these things. The customers were just delighted that there was all this information available to them about their home that they previously just didn't have insight and line of sight to. So they were really excited about that.
Yeah, it's really like empowering. There's a question. Does Span act as an ATS?
Does Span act as an ATS? Yes.
Would you like to share some more? Or maybe for everybody else?
Yeah. So I'll go back a little bit here, if I can, into this one where we talk about backup overload protection. Span in this situation with backup overload protection, as you note here on the bottom, it meets NEC requirements for automatic transfer equipment. So that's generally, so with a battery backup, yes. I don't know. I'm going to elaborate a little bit. I'm not sure if the participant's question was in relation to an ATS overall, and a lot of times we hear that in relation to generators. If your question was speaking about generators, then my answer is going to be a little bit different. A generator can be incorporated into a Span project. Span would, in that case, not act as the ATS. What would happen is the generator would be upstream of the battery, and we can get into, I'm getting a little bit down in the weeds here in detail about installations and things like that in unique cases. So I'm not going to go too deep in here. But if your question, I'll say it this way, and to keep it simple for everybody, if you have a generator on your project, it can be incorporated, and we have particular ways to show you how to do that. We'd be happy. Our technical services team provides lots of support for everybody this is a really important thing for everybody on this call to know. What I'm going to tell you right now is very obvious to everybody on this call. The way that electrical systems in homes are set up, you would think are fairly uniform. They're not. And so what we have is a robust technical services team that you can that's available real time all the time, that standard business hours, regardless of what time zone you're in. And what they can do is help you through these projects. You can submit things to them. You could submit design drawings, or even you can literally scribble it on a napkin and take a picture of it and show it to us what you're trying to do. And what we'll do is we'll help you through how to design that project. So it sounds like maybe in my elaboration here, that customer might have had that kind of thing. But what's really great about that is no problem. We're going to help you through your project there and how it's designed. We're going to make sure we get you the right information.
Thank you, Mike. There is another follow-up question about the ATS. So with the span acting as the ATS for a battery, would this mean we would not need to install a Tesla gateway or Franklin A gate?
Great question. So in today's version of span, the Tesla A gate or the span gate or the Franklin A gate or the Tesla gateway, yes, are still required equipment. Today, you're still going to design those things. You're still going to have those components. We'll talk a little bit about some potential features of some new products coming in the future. But I appreciate the additional ask there about and clarity around what your question was. So yes, if you're pairing span with a Powerwall, gateway, Franklin, A gate, those kinds of things, those pieces of equipment are still included today on installations. That's great. I'm going to hit one more just on the data piece here. This is about controlling circuits from elsewhere. So going back to Daniela, what you were asking about is, were there certain things that customers were more delighted about than others? And this is that data. One of the pieces of feedback that we got around that second point, I was saying about that control and flexibility from anywhere. This is actually directly from a consumer. So from some of these surveys that we've done. And my experience as a solar customer is 10 times better because of span. So this is someone who it sounds like would have had their solar installed and have experienced that either in that home or maybe in a previous home without span, and now they have span and they're realizing how much better it is when they've had the two together, which is a really unique use case that we don't always get to see, right? So, a lot of times it's installed and then it's one and done. So this was a really unique one that we were pretty happy about. So now curious to hear what the group might think now that you know a little bit more about span. Do you think we have time for another poll, Daniela?
Absolutely, let's do it. What is the biggest benefit you feel span can provide to your homeowners? So maybe think about what Mike referred to, and also what kind of conversations you had with your customers. So here are the options. Flexible circuit backup when paired with an integrated ESS. The ability to avoid a utility service upgrade when the homeowner is adding large electrical loads with limited incoming infrastructure from the utility. Savings on the electrical bill with usage visibility at the circuit level. All-in-one energy management with PV production, grid state, and ESS charge state. All right, lots of options here.
And no wrong answers on this one, which is good.
No, I'm trying to think whether I could limit myself to one, actually. But you're forced to just make one choice. Just pick the one that is top of mind, that you feel that span can provide to your homeowners. Let's get some more answers. As Mike said, you can't go wrong with any of these answers. It's really gauging what you think are the biggest benefits offering a span solution to your customers. What kind of problems can span solve for end consumers? We get some more?
Starting to see a couple that are pretty popular here.
Yes. All right, I don't think I see a movement. You're also welcome. Please share your comments and questions in the Q&A. I'm going to end the poll and let's share some results. So Mike, yeah, a couple of favorites here and one winner. What do you think? Is this what you expected?
I think it is. Yeah, I think this is while there's no wrong answer, I'm really happy to see that these, for this particular group, are some of the features that and benefits to your consumers that you think would be most beneficial, and that you can envision yourself, let's say, incorporating into your sales pitch. So the idea here of flexible circuit backup One of the things that we hear frequently is this idea of decision fatigue. So, you're out there and you're pitching the homeowner on solar and battery backup, and there's multiple battery choices, and they all have different features, and which modules and panels are you going to use, and those kinds of things. And let's face it, the homeowner might even be talking to or getting a quote or a proposal from more than one contractor. And eventually what happens is you get decision fatigue, and they're drained at the end of all this. And then what, if you're particularly on some of these where you're talking about energy storage systems and adding battery, then you have to pile on top of that, oh, by the way, homeowners, which circuits would you like backed up? Because we can't back up everything in your home, because we're not, in a traditional panel, we're going to have to give you a critical loads panel. So, what's important to you? And it's like, I just went through all this and my brain's fried, and now I've got this decision fatigue. And now you're going to ask me a really important question like that. That's pretty impactful, right? For a long, for a long period of time. Or, think about how that conversation would be so much different if you had SPAN incorporated from the get-go. And that's one less thing you got to talk about at the end, because they're so excited that they get to back up their whole house if they want to.
Yeah, and I'd like to add also, with or without battery backup, when you add like big electrical loads, I'm just thinking about, solar and heat pump and EV and all of that, and how that SPAN can be an enabler. So even without the backup option, and I'm thinking about different regional characteristics, right? We have NEM3 in California, but on the East Coast, we have net metering. So battery might not be the most obvious choice, let's say, right?
Mm-hmm.
And still, the benefits are there with or without battery.
That's a really great point. The benefit of SPAN goes so far beyond just that battery backup situation, and there's the benefit of, as we noted here, with potentially a utility service upgrade when you're having to, or you mentioned, I'm getting an EV charger, and my panel is pretty well packed right now in terms of total power output, and so although I'd like to get a 50 or 60 amp breaker to put my charger on so I can charge my car really quickly, I don't have the room. SPAN opens up all of these possibilities where you can put that 60 amp breaker in that panel, and pair it with a SPAN drive and get full level 2 charging. And so to add on to one of the things we were talking about earlier, which is I appreciate you bringing it up. One of the other things that we find is helping our best customers, and what they're finding to be successful is they're not just blinders focused on what they're talking about that homeowner today, which may be a PV system or maybe a PV and ESS, or what they're saying to the homeowner is, talk to me about what you think the next 10 years, 5, 10, 15 years looks like for you. I noticed you have a gas stove. Do you think, you're getting an EV and PV, are you thinking about switching that over to electric? Are there other electrification projects that you plan on doing? And if so, we really ought to talk about that now, because let's make the right decisions today that'll help you get the best experience later on down the road. And let me tell you, if you're that company that's treating that customer that way, your close rate is significantly going to improve, because you're going to have customers going, wow, I'm so glad you brought that up. The other two didn't. And boy, would I have been in trouble and, or upset in a few years if, I paid for all this stuff and I didn't have a SPAN, and then I have to do it later and I feel like I'm paying twice. Oh, it's just a horrible experience. So that's another really great thing that you bring up there, is how our best customers are doing with that electrification journey. So speaking a little bit about our best customers, I did want to hit on, I know we've got just a couple of minutes left here. I just want to make sure everybody in the audience knows this is one of the last 2 things that we promised we'd tell you about today. Our installer program. So we're really happy to say that we're renewing our installer program for 2025. We are actively enrolling folks now into that program. You've got 2 options for this program. You've got pro and premier level status. Pro level status is customers who are doing 15 span a quarter or more. And premier level status is those that are doing 30 span per quarter or more. So if you feel like you want to incorporate this into your business and you think you know what, this is the type of projects that I do and the level of the number of projects that I do, then definitely reach out to us and let us know, because we'd love to get you enrolled. There's a lot of benefits here if you're thinking about doing span on a regular basis. And when I say regular basis, that pro level is like one a week. So you think about what your throughput is right now, and if you think to yourself, yeah, I think one homeowner a week would probably take us up on span. Well, then why not enroll and get a bunch of benefits? You get direct rebates on the products. There's co-op marketing funds. There's an opportunity to get a personal use panel for either someone in your company or to use as a training panel for all your folks. There's a lot of really great benefits here to this program. So we'd love to get more folks involved and enrolled, more companies involved. And so let us know if that sounds like something that you might be interested in the future. In addition to that, don't forget, all of this money is out there. I'm going to put it this way: this slide's a little bit of an eye chart. That just means there's a lot of money to be had. So whether it's the 30% tax credit, or you could include span in on that, just the same way you might be doing today, or whether it's a $600 rebate or a $600 tax credit, I should say, for a span panel itself, or whether you're doing a span drive and you're getting a rebate on that. There's a lot of opportunity out there with the Inflation Reduction Act for span to be incorporated into projects and to provide additional back-end money back to folks. So as you're thinking about it and you're saying, I don't know, maybe I'm not going to quite get to that one a week, don't forget, you've got all this money backing you up to help make span affordable for these projects. And then the very, very last thing that I'll hit on before we wrap up here is everything we talked about today is a feature and benefit of today's product, which you see over here on the left, the span panel main 32. So it's a 32 breaker space panel, as we talked about, with a main breaker in it. And that's the product that we're selling today. But we're really excited. We announced this at RE Plus a few months ago, and we're continuing down the path of launch. Sometime in the second quarter of next year, first half of next year, we're going to be launching the middle two products you see here, the span panel 40 plus mid, and the span panel MLO 48. So main lug only 48. So you're going to have two new options for span panels. We heard you loud and clear. You wanted a bigger option, so we're going to give it to you. So what you're going to have is a span panel that's got a main breaker in it with 40 breaker spaces, or a span panel that doesn't have a main breaker that can be used as a sub, or if you're in a meter main market, it can be used as that sub panel. That's going to have 48 spaces for you. Not to mention, these panels have a lot of improvements around installability and other things that we're going to get into as we get closer to their release. But definitely keep your eye out for these coming down the pipe. And then later on in the year, further down in the summer, what you're gonna see is two smaller edition panels. So we're going a little bigger and a little smaller. The smaller edition panels are going to be a main breaker with 16 spaces, or again, no main breaker, and then you're going to be able to have 24 breaker spaces. So again, great sub panel options, great options for condos, apartments, things like that. So we're really rounding out the line here. And what this really just shows is how successful we've been at span. And we couldn't be that successful without partners like BayWa helping us out with selling and stocking the product, and without folks like all of you today who are here to join us, and we're out there installing our product and being our sales force in the field selling it to homeowners. So we really appreciate you being out there.
Yeah, Mike, same right back at you. Thank you so much for your time. Do you have your contact details there?
I sure do.
Yeah, let's do that. You're going to have all access to the presentation, but This is important. Make sure you reach out to BayWa, to your representative, and to Span, and really take advantage. Let us help you have those types of conversations with consumers and help you um, elaborate what the benefits and the cost saving features, how they play into the whole overall success of the project. This was really excellent. Thank you so much, Mike, for being here. Thank you, Sven, for being a great partner, showing up and helping us learn about your product and all the benefits. Please make sure you check out your BayWa website as well. And if you're not working with us yet, make sure you register on our website so we can be in touch. Wonderful.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. Thanks for having us. And thanks everybody for taking some time out of your day again to join us today.
Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us, and see you soon.